All right. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are on this awesome planet. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live Asian session. I'm your host, Benny Allen, along with my awesome partner, Mr. Ryan Carthage, and we're definitely happy and grateful for each and every one of you being here with us this evening as we close out the week looking at the technicals and the fundamentals in the Forex market to see what we can take advantage of. So without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. For some of our newer members, this is where, right? You can exclusively get your questions answered as it relates to the Forex market, whether it be the technicals, the fundamentals, any questions that you might have about the strategy. If you're struggling, let us know. Ask questions. That's what these sessions are for. So don't be scared to interact. If everybody can hear me loud and clear, right? Let's participate right now. Drop me a 1 in the chat so we can get this session going. Awesome. Mr. Ryan Carthage, how are you this evening, sir?
Bro, I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Glad to be back.
Glad to have you back, bro. Glad to have
Ready
you
to
back,
get
man.
ready to get things going. So I know you had a busy day. I know you're still doing what you got to do. So we are going to go ahead and get rocking and rolling, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, bro.
All right.
What's up, everybody?
That's it. So let's zoom and get out of here and let's talk about it, right? So we had a little bit of everything today, okay? So if we, let me scroll back out. Some more. Thursday, we had a little bit of what we had the Bank of Japan, right? Press conference. Now the Bank of Japan, they held their interest rates steady and they made it clear, right? They're not looking at raising rates anytime soon, but they did though. They did. The government in Japan did step in to intervene and support the yen for the first time since 1998. You always hear us talking about monetary policy divergence and that gap between what the United States Federal Reserve is doing in regards to hawkishly hiking rates and what the Bank of Japan is doing created a huge divergence. And we saw, right, and we'll take a look at the charts real quick at the dollar. We saw that the dollar is getting close to the DXY, that high, right? Highest level in 20 years or so. Okay, so when you look at the DXY and you look at the Japanese yen and how they're not raising rates, created a lot of pressure on that yen. So the government stepped in to intervene. And you saw, because of what happened fundamentally, you saw a lot of your yen crosses make the move that we have been anticipating for quite some time. And you see when it was at those key levels, those 80-20s, right? You saw price drop off, it just collapsed. Things like the Swiss yen, dollar yen made a nice correction and some other ones. So the game just continues on. All of these other central banks have to speed up the pace, right? Have to speed up the pace in regards to their monetary policy. So even though they left rates unchanged, okay, they did step in to intervene, okay, to kind of ease the pressure on the yen. We've got the Swiss National Bank came through with their policy rate, 50 basis points. There were some speculators out there and investors that were looking for a higher number, but they came with the 50 basis points. What's very, very important about that is that they are no longer, right, putting forth a negative interest rate. So you can see here where they were at negative 0.25 for many, many years. Now they were forecasting 50 basis points and they did just that. So 75 basis points. I apologize for that. So 75 basis points, and some of the investors were looking for 100 basis points. So that left some a little bit disappointed, but nonetheless, they are out of negative territory. So 75 basis points brought them out of negative territory. So we'll continue to watch that if you all had a chance to look at a lot of the pairs, you saw that because of how hawkish the Fed is, another 75 basis points, third straight time that the United States Federal Reserve has hiked rates by 75 basis points, putting a lot of pressure because of fears of growth slowing, global demand slowing. You saw a lot of those commodities get a lot of pressure today. So if you looked at all your crosses, it was mainly your commodity currencies that were really taking a hit for the most part. We saw the Aussie gained a little strength in against some of the crosses, but for the most part, your commodity currencies were the ones that were feeling a lot of pressure. And then we've got the Bank of England came out today with another 50 basis points. It's going to be interesting to see how they move forward. That's the seventh time, right? They've hiked rates and said that they would continue to respond forcefully to try to combat inflation. So we'll see how things continue to go as we move forward. But again, a lot of your central banks are, really trying to move to catch up to be somewhere in the range of the Federal Reserve in regards to monetary policy and fighting off inflation. So nobody's going to let their currency get beat up too bad. They have to do something to help, especially when you're in countries like the United States, Great Britain, the Eurozone. Your exporting countries like Japan, it's a fine balance overall, but definitely if you're an export country, you want to really watch it because you're exporting. You don't want to let the interest rates get too high and your money become too expensive. That can really be detrimental. So fine balance with all of these central banks. It's fascinating to watch. These are unique times, as we keep saying. So any questions in regards to what happened with the monetary policy with the central banks today? Okay. So we ask this question all the time, but everybody drop me a 2 in the chat if you now realize, right? Some of you have been with us for a while before our newer people realize how important it is, right? Drop me a 2 if you realize how important it is that you pay attention to what's going on fundamentally in the market. It's very, very important. It's what makes the market move, right? How long do you think Japan? That's a great question, Reese. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's great. I have to read more about that. I'm not sure how long the government's going to intervene on that. But it definitely made that market shift a bit. So, but Ryan have been talking about it for weeks, reading articles, and they finally came through with it. We always say it's fascinating, right? What comes first, the chicken or the egg? It's amazing how you get to keep technical levels, how these fundamental things kind of happen seemingly right on time at times. So we know that dollar yen divergence was getting pretty large. That gap was getting pretty wide. Something was going to have to happen sooner or later. So shift is an understatement for sure. It did. So let's turn into the charts. There's details on the end of the month and mountain duration. Thanks, Ryan. So details at the end of this month in regards to how long they're going to intervene. All right, because even though, right, they didn't change their interest rates. Okay, that's good on one hand for exports, but then for your citizens there, it's putting a lot of pressure on them. With inflation, right? You want to always be able to try to get the most bang for your buck for your currency that's native to your country. But if you're continuously losing buying power as a consumer, that can cause some issues with the economy as well, right? So again, it's a fine balance. So let's see how it plays out. Let's trade through it. All right. So again, Wall Street extends losses. We know why that is now, okay? Pressure, right? Hawkish dollar. Okay, UK consumer confidence hits a record low. Okay, so the UK, the Eurozone, we've got Putin now, right? Looking to potentially escalate the war. So more challenging times to come, right? That's when you think things are kind of trying to settle a little bit. Here we go again. All right, so we'll see how the ECB continues to respond in regards to their rate hikes and the challenges that they're having with energy. So lots and lots and lots of stuff fundamentally occurring in the market. So let's dive into some charts. So of course, there's the dollar index still pushing on that level. And let's take a look at some stuff written down here. I want to look at this this euro. I mean, it's Aussie CAD to start out because and this might move sideways. It's been pretty bullish. It's got a nice little bullish push today against the Canadian dollar. But I'm really watching this level, this 89.62 level, because I ultimately I want to stay bearish on this Aussie CAD, and I want to see if this level holds. It's pushing it pretty hard, right? But we're overbought right now on a daily stochastic, and on our 4, this is where we're leveling out here. We got a stochastic again, right? That's overbought at 100%. So I'm watching this closely to see if this wants to continue its path to the downside, if we're going to break above this level, this 89.62 level. So that's one that I have my eye on, because from a 1 hour play, it's sitting nice and high in the zone. We're almost at an 8.6 level, just shy. Okay, so I would love to see that turnover in the zone if we can get it. I would love to put that stop right above my 8 boundary. Nice deep correction, like so. Okay, and I would like to see that turnover in the sell zone, but not gonna take it quite yet. I'm gonna wait on it, but that is in one of the sweet spots that I like to trade on that Aussie CAD. Maybe start running the trend line. So that, and see how price wants to go. I really want to see something just moving sideways, but I would like to see a bearish move on this. I mean, I got time to let it break and even pull back a bit in that zone, but I'm going to be super conservative with it. But that one kind of caught my eye today. That we're high in the zone, the risk to reward would be beautiful on that if we can get that to turn over. But I'm gonna let it tell me. Not gonna jump in there right now. On the your order was already activated on the Aussie CAD. What level did you play it at, Joy?
I'm sorry, I got a nosy background. I ain't by my computer.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, so that's one that I'm keeping an eye on. If it continues to push up and take it out, that's fine too. It's just gonna push a little higher in the zone, but I am watching that level. So that's the Aussie CAD. This Aussie Swissy.
89551. I had it at in the sweet spot.
Right, the sweet spot, 89551.
Yeah.
89551. So up a little higher. Okay, I got you. So yeah, if that turns over, that'll work for you. But we'll continue to keep an eye on it. 89551. So that's right above that 551. Yeah, right above that 786. Right at that resistance level, pretty much. Coming into it. Cool. Got it. So let's take a look at this this Aussie Swissy. Here, this is a 4 hour. Right, nice reaction. Like this is right? If you plan those 80-20s, this is what you want to see. When price gets down to this zone here, that's a beautiful explosive move there. Okay. So we'll see we're at 65.09. Here's your 382 on that. Okay. Right. There's your 382 target. Here's your 61.8. Okay. So we'll see how that continues to push, right? So we got a strong impulse move to the upside out of that zone, but now we're at this monthly level and it's fighting a bit, right? It's kind of wicking out. There's a previous high there. So we'll see if it can gain some momentum and continue to push. But that's a pretty strong move out of that zone. That's 136 pips already off the level, and you got almost 190 to the 382 off the 4. If this is a pair that, hey, you think you want to get short on, then just wait for it to get into your sell zone. All right, wait for it to get into your sell zone. Here's a look on the 1. Right, I just wanted to draw a counter move there to see, so you can see how it broke trend line, fighting that monthly level, and maybe we get a pullback to retest the trend line. We'll see, and then push up. But that's one to keep an eye on. You can see how it took out these highs, so you may get it to pull back. It might be more of a shallow crown type setup. That's not too shallow, but in the zone like that. Okay, like so. All right, that'd be a good level if that came back, if it held right at that 64.13, and then continue to get long on that one. Any questions on that Aussie Swiss? Right, find a zone, look for the potential U-turn. Okay, determine how you want to enter. Is it a trend line break? Is it a cloud? Do I want to limit in with a small lot size at that level and just let it play out and add to the position and build a position as it goes in my direction? Okay, some things to think about there. Okay. Okay, so that's that. Another one I wanted to take a look at tonight. Now, if you got questions, make sure you stop me now. That's what we're here for, because I'm just gonna keep rolling. So, want to take a look at this Aussie New Zealand. I want to cover this Aussie Yen, because this has been it's a beautiful swing. Okay, so look at this weekly. Right, that's a beautiful push. Okay, it's a beautiful push. So think about it. Even if you didn't have a fib on it, okay, that's just a nice reaction off of a resistance level. Okay, that's a beautiful reaction there. See, they're straight across. That's why we mark the levels and we stay consistent at doing that. Okay. So if we come here and we look at the daily, you see we already got a 382. Already got a 382. But you're looking at a combination here, okay, where we got us 382 already. So we may come down to retest this support at 93 up against this trend line here. And then we may continue long. Not sure yet, but this is a combination of commodities coming under pressure and the Japanese government intervention. Right? Swung it right out of the zone. Right out of the zone. Okay. Good fundamentals coming together there on the chart. It's a beautiful drop. What we saw was the 80-20 play though, right? That's the trigger to let us know, hey, something might be going down. Okay, we pushed up around that 118, 127 zone, and then look at that swing. So that's through 2 take profits. Now, we're holding right now. See, this is why you mark your levels, because right underneath, well, let me click on it, but right up here it is. That's a daily level. And you can see how it broke it and it retested, and right now it's holding below that 94.75. So we're looking at the potential of further downside pressure, potentially down to this 93.07, right? And then if it wants to continue, it's going to take this 4-hour fib out. Okay, right now we're still within the AB boundary, but we're moving down, right? That's what we saw in a higher time frame, is moving down. So we'll continue to watch to see if we can get to this 93.07 level and even below that. Okay, on the Aussie Yen. So that intervention was very, 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 very powerful. Okay, coming to the downside. It had already started to make its move, and then it just accelerated the process. Okay, but that's how it goes, right? ABCDs up to critical levels, and then you get the reversal. Okay, so off that zone, okay, you had 268 to TP1, 370 to TP2, and then this lowest point, it was down almost 500 pips. Okay. Any questions on that Aussie Yen?
Nope.
All right. Now, if you're in this trade, now it comes to trade management, right? So maybe you took half your position off at TP1. Okay, maybe you took another quarter position off at TP2 and you're letting the rest run, right? Maybe you're out of the trade. Okay, you're done with the position. If you're still in it, right, roll your stops down. Okay, you don't want to give a lot of your money back to the market. Roll your stops down or draw a trend line. Okay, start to draw your counter trend lines in the other direction, like so. Say, hey, as long as it stays below my trend line, I'm good. Or if you're using a cloud, okay, you may see that the Tinkerson and the Kijisen crossover, or it may break back above the cloud, right? That might be your exit. So just some things to think about when you get in these big moves. They require a lot of patience, right? But once you're in that position, just manage it, right? That's a skill on itself, right? So we've got your technicals, your fundamentals, and then you have to become a good trade manager as well. Okay, big moves, right? So
Hey,
this is what
Benny, I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. So
That's okay.
I was doing some back testing, and when I asked you the other day, like, would it be a potential for a reversal, or if it was just a pullback? So when I was looking, I noticed that that the two lines, they was like running parallel, and they kind of like semi-cross, but they touched. And on one instant, it did cross over, but it was like a pullback, like above the clouds, but it came back down. But then one instance, because I was just hearing like score point. I started noticing that it looked like it was going to be a swing to form. So in that spot, would it be better to catch it when the swing form, rather than just a pivotal turn? If
you could,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a little bit more conservative, but you could play it like that, right? Because we know those swings, right, are creating new levels. Right? So you could be conservative like that. Another thing that you want to look at, a little tip here, is you see how this is going flat. Both of these are flat.
Yeah.
That's pretty good resistance there, right? Now we've got a level there that's confirming that already. We already have our top-down analysis done. We've got a level confirming that already, but that's pretty flat, both of those, right? So that's pretty good resistance. So it doesn't surprise me that rejected, and we're trying to turn over. So we'll see how the rest of that plays out. But you see how they just narrowed and they just stayed in that narrow state and just pushed down. Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't know which one would be
momentum.
the stronger push. Yeah, I didn't know what. Yeah, okay, bet, because I didn't realize which one would be the stronger push, the pivotal turn, or just the straight up swing. Well, that would be a swing, a low high. So
Right.
I didn't know which one would be like stronger or more momentum.
Yeah, and you can see, like, for exit confirmation here, you can see like how, right, it's running through them, but you see how it's having a problem breaking above it and staying above it, See how prices it keeps testing those. Your tinkers and your keys, and you see how it's just running. Where it's staying, right? Kind of like that effect that you get with moving averages too. So yeah, great questions. Great questions. Whatever you gotta do, that helps you, manage your trade, better stay in your trades, all type of stuff out there. Just be consistent. That's what we say. Just be consistent. And you've done a good job at doing that. So awesome job. So that is the Aussie Yen. That's a huge move. And this is what we mean by you don't have to be in the market. You don't have to trade every day, right? You don't have to, I used to be like that. I feel like, man, I'm itching. I gotta hit the buy or sell button every day to make money. And you don't, right? If you just wait, right? What if that took you, 3 days, a week to set up in this zone? If you said, you know what, from what I see and what I like, I don't like this here, right? I don't like, and the only way you do it is through practice and experience, right? Diving in, okay? You may say, here's my AB boundary, A, B. I don't like the B to C moves. I don't like it because I don't like getting, put in the drawdown as it seeks out that 118, 127 zone after it's shallow, or I don't like having my stop loss so tight above the high. Once that B boundary forms, I don't do good with getting stopped out quickly. So maybe you pass on this, but if you just put in your trade plan, well, the one thing I do like to trade is that classic 80-20 move. After that shallow retracement, that B boundary breaks. So your whole trade plan, now listen to me, your whole trade plan might be, I'm gonna do my top-down analysis every week on my pairs, and all I'm looking for on whatever time frame, whether you like trading the 1, the 15, the 4, you might say, all I want to trade are 80-20s. That's it. That's gonna be my game. That's gonna be my game. If I want to trade for a firm down the road, whatever I want to do, my game plan is I'm going to trade 80-20 setups. I like the larger moves. I can add to the position. I'm going to use it, whether you get up to this point and you say, once a high forms, once I get a high, I can put my stop right above that high, add a trend line break, cloud, whatever you want to do. But this is my zone. All I'm going to do is navigate through all my pairs. Even if you trade indices or cryptos or whatever, this is what I'm looking for. This is my setup. That's it. That's all I'm going to look for. Okay. And decide how you want to enter your trades, whether you keep your stop loss wide, trade small, right? You could do, okay, I'm in this 118, 127 zone. It's 270 pips. Okay, well, I need to set my stop off of that. Okay, and I might say, well, I'll do a 2-to-1. That's half of that, so 135 or so. Okay, yes, I'm trading small, but I can build on this position. I can scale in. So maybe I like a wider stop loss. I'm just going to let it float and do its thing. That's still a 2-to-1, right? It's still a 2-to-1 if it goes to my targets. Okay, however you want to do it, but just be consistent in saying, this is all I'm looking for. When I see it, I'm trading it. Okay, everyone understand that? Drop me a 3 in the chat. Okay, and it might be 2 or 3 days. It might be a week. You notice, guys, if you do your top down analysis on your pairs, they kind of move in positions in cycles, right? They kind of cycle in and cycle out with the crosses. So it may take a little bit of time for them to set up, but right, and test it out, awesome. But maybe that's your thing, and then you get you a year's worth of data and say, you know what, that's it. That's gonna make my trading career. I'm just gonna sit around and trade 80-20s. Top down analysis, 80-20s. Maybe you do your testing and you say, I like 80-20s with structure, meaning, right? That's a daily level in that zone. I want to trade. I want to be able to look left when price runs up into that 118.27 zone. If I look left and it's a level, I've done my top down analysis, and in this case, I got a resistance level there. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Okay. You may say in your trade plan, okay, just trying to take you guys mentally on the things that I've gone through over the years. I hope it helps. Okay, so you may say, well, hey, we know that the bat signal, okay, no, Ryan, that's not very long, especially when you think people, first of all, we know the stats when it comes to the Forex market. We know that. So that should tell you that, hey, at the end of the month, people lose money. But, right, 10 days and it's 500 pips, close to 500 pips where it was at its lowest point. And when you think that some people can't catch that in a month, 2 months, right? 10 days isn't long at all, right? So if you can get consistent at that, yeah, maybe you trade micros now, right? But as you grow your account, as you pay yourself and invest in yourself, right? Maybe it's through a firm, right? To kind of 10x the thing, then, you know, that becomes big time if you could do it consistently, all right? So you may say, every time I see an AB boundary, if I get to 80-20, I'm looking to play it. If it turns over, right? If it turns over, I get an AB boundary and then price turns over right away. Okay. If it turns over right away in my zone, AB boundary, boom. Then no, I don't want that. I've already made that determination to the counter. But maybe the next setup in your trade plan, so maybe your one good trade, your A+ trade is that, and maybe your B trade is, well, with the trend, if I get an immediate correction, then when it comes to my sweet spot, 61.8786, then I'll take it with the trend, right? So now I got 2 setups that I trade, an A and a B, with some rules. And that's it. I'm not going to trade it at the 236. I'm not going to trade it at, the 3082. I'm not going, oh, it looks good, so I'm going to trade it anyway. Right? I'm not going to do that, because what is that going to do? That's going to taint your data, right? And if you're trying to get hardcore data, right, for your trade plan to see if you have an edge and if it works, then you have to stay strict, right, in regards to what you're looking for, okay? Because it's going to mess your data up. It's not going to be clean data if you don't stick to it. All right, so think about that. Okay, just throwing it out there, my journey as a trader. Okay, so maybe that's what you do. Maybe you say, I'm only going to look for 80-20s on the 4 hour, right? Do my top-down analysis. When I get my 80-20s on the 4 hour, that's what I'm going to look for. That's going to significantly reduce the amount of trades that you're taking. That's going to significantly reduce the amount of pressure that you're putting on your account. I'm saying this because I've been there. Okay, I've been there. All right. Okay, so think about that. All right, think about that. So that's the Aussie Yen. Any questions on this pair or about what we just talked about? Okay, let's think about it. We teach you how to analyze all the pairs for a reason, because then you can really create your filters. See, now if you come in and you say, well, and this might be your thing at the end of the day, well, I only want to trade the pound yen, right? Well, you got to be consistent in that. And then if you take those type of rules that we just talked about to only the pound yen, then it may be hard for you to get, right, enough setups to really do some damage during the year, right? Because I think, Ryan, what was it? Was it 21-20, where it was like on, I forget what time frame we were on, but it was only like 5 completed fibs on the pound yen.
It was 2021 on the pound yen. It was 5 fibs.
5 for the whole year. That made it
1 hour time frame.
That's how big the moves are on the pound yen. 5 fibs that ran through the completion. All right, in a 12-month period. Okay. Stuff to think about as we continue our journey. It becomes a lot more simple. I promise. Promise. All right. So, Aussie dollar. Okay. Right. So like right here, this is the 4. It broke 66, right? We've been talking about this. So let's go up to the daily. This is fun to watch. We'll go to the weekly first, right? And look, 66, broke it. Broke it. You got a hawkish Fed. We know that. Hey, man, the Fed is so hawkish. Most commodities, matter of fact, just about all commodities around the world are traded in what? US dollars. That puts a lot of pressure on other countries' currencies, right? So that's why they start to get so tight about, oh man, there may be less demand, right? Because if I'm exchanging my yen or I'm exchanging my pound for this dollar that's so strong right now, that's so expensive right now, I'm not getting the most bang for my buck. So either I decide not to purchase as much, don't purchase at all, right? Because of the strength of the US dollar. So there's demand fears. Well, the Australian dollar is a commodity currency up against the US dollar. So, right, it broke 66 and it's continuing to push lower. If anything that I said just made any type of sense, drop me a 4 in the chat. Okay, right? So we know if we look at the US dollar, go back, take a look at the DXY, okay? And we're looking at the weekly level. And you see, this is from 2021, and it's just been running, right? So it makes sense, okay, with that dollar being as strong as it has been for this Aussie dollar, right? See where it topped out in the zone? And then just look at it, it's just moving down, right? It's just moving down, okay, to the downside. Nothing's random. I know people think that it is. Some people, it's not random what's going on. This stuff happens for a reason. So we go and we look at the daily, okay? And we zoom out and we can see that, look, okay? There's that target, 61.22. Okay? Broke it. So we know, right? We like to score a point and potentially pull back at some point. So we're going to say, hey, bearish on the Aussie dollar. We broke 66. This is the 4-hour chart now. Okay. We got a stochastic in a sell zone. So maybe, right, this holds here below this level and we push down before we find some buyers. Okay. Just like that. We push down. Maybe we settle in that zone. If your trade plan says, hey, I trade 80-20s, there's your setup. Follow the process, live with the results. Okay. If you're saying, hey, my trade plan, I like to trade with the trend is moving down, and my sweet spot is 61.8 higher, maybe a 50 with structure, however you want it, then you know what? Then I want to see this price, move in this direction, either off this 118, 127 zone, okay, and move up into my sell zone, or what will be even better for me is if it just decided to do it now, because then I'm going to get short. How you play it? That's how you play the game. It's been falling short, right? So how many fibs? Look, not hard to back test it, right? Look at the pullbacks down, pullbacks down, pullbacks down. Look at the pullback. That one took it out. That one got super aggressive off this weekly level that it broke. So that's telling you something about downside pressure. Look at the reaction last time off 66.79. Took out the A, then it collapsed again, and it finally broke through it. Okay, so we're definitely looking at a continuation to the downside. All right, there. So those are your scenarios on the Aussie dollar. Bearish. Okay, now it's just a matter of, hey, am I only waiting for the short? If it pushes down to my zone, do I entertain the 80-20, right? Or, hey, I'm just short. I need a high price. I want to get short. Jerry, question.
Hi, Ben. How are you?
Great. How are you, sir?
Hey, pretty good. Yeah, I just got a question about the fib. If you get a shallow retracement and it goes down through and keeps going to the D extension, will the fib reset or
It
does
will.
it? It will reset. Okay.
It will reset. Something, man, it's been going on for I think at least a year. Like where it used to be right on the money with the resets, but I've emailed about it multiple times. I know other people have too. Where sometimes it's taking a while for that new fib to set up. But technically, yes, it's gonna reset, right? Like eventually this one popped in. If it shoots down to the D, because that's just an extension, right? So it's telling you that, hey, this fib is exhausted, right? So you might not get a high retracement necessarily, but if it gets to that 160.18, it's not gonna light up anymore. Okay, it's gonna shut this down, just like this one here.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So and then pretty soon, even if it does, right, that little glitch or whatever that's happening, after a while you'll be able to eyeball it like that hit a D extension. This is the next low. My fib should run from here to here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
you'll be on top of it. But yeah, that's a great question. If you get that shallow retracement and it pushes all the way down, which we know it does, right? It will create the new fib eventually.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Jeremy, my man, and on this one short. Congratulations, right? Drop Jeremy some sevens in the chat. Drop sevens for everybody. If you're in the Aussie Dollar short and you're holding, give yourself some sevens. First, make sure you drop my man a couple sevens first. Appreciate you, Jeremy. Awesome work. Awesome work. Jeremy was the one that said, man, you need to put that fib on a weekly. What are you doing? That's an even larger move at play here. Great work. Great work. All right. So congrats to everybody that's taking that to the downside, right? Those are fairly easy plays. And if you think about it, here's the daily D extension. Okay. So even if you haven't been on this journey all the way down, right? If we can get a pullback to a high price on that, say a 61.8, okay, then the thing is still quite a ways away, right? 658 pips away. So from 61.8 to that D extension, it's 420. So we've got some room, and it's probably going to run beyond that. It may run beyond that. So we'll continue to see how it plays out. Any questions on the Aussie dollar?
Benny, just a quick question regarding the take profit. You know, instead of taking profit at the 236 level and 382, is it possible to scale in at that level in your trade?
You're talking about on the move up?
The move down.
Or move down?
Yeah.
To like scaling at those levels?
Yeah.
I would look to make sure. I would check first to see if I have structure there, right? So
Okay.
I would more so look not so much on the fib levels, but on my hard, higher time frame levels. So if this, let me move this out of the way. So it's a really good question. So say this pulled back right now to the high price, and I'm in, right? So say I'm in here, hey, boom, I'm in the setup, and now it's moving in my direction. Okay. I will more so knowing that this level has been keyed before, right? See? Okay. Because what I don't want to do is enter prematurely and then I get a bounce. Okay. So I would look at this level here, that 66 level, and say, you know what? If I can get a correction up and then it comes back to revisit this level again, I'll let it break that level. And then on the pullback, right? Get a swing high there, then I can look to add then for the continuation now. Like that. That help you out a little bit?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. So I would still use those those main support and resistance levels, even though we look at fib levels as hidden levels of support and resistance, you know, we do see reactions there at time. I would more so look to add off of these levels, as opposed to, you know, it pushes down and then it pulls back to retest the fib level. I would just use my support and resistance levels for that. That's a great question. It's a really good question. Well, but that's how I would play it. All right. Any other questions on the Aussie dollar? Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome anytime. No. Okay. So let's take a look at I want to take a look at this pound Swiss, because this has been a funny one. All right. It pushed down and then we got the reaction. All right. So it just barely wicked it out. All right. So it shot past our 80-20 zone. That one stopped me out. So past our 80-20 zone, then I got the reaction. That's a bummer. It happens at times. So what we may see a let me go to the one. Okay. This one I'm really paying close to, because I want to see if we can get another drive up right into the zone. I'm not too ready to take that one on a short yet at all, because of the way that's setting up. So just keep an eye on this one. This one this is a 1 hour 80-20. That was beautiful, a nice reaction. The 4 is where I was tracking that original one from, and price just kept pushing down on me, because I had a limit order. But this one, I would like to see this one kind of push up in the zone a little bit higher. I don't know if it makes sense with the, hold on, this 1 hour. That might be too high, but I want to see if this one will continue to push a little longer into the zone, right? Into the zone there. That's not a bad one. What does it look like on the 15? Here's a trend line break on the 15. So if that holds, that might not be a bad play, right? For a potential long. We'll see. But I do want to see if I can get it to drive up in the zone a little bit higher on that one. So that one didn't work out for me on the 4. It's just, hey, can't time it all the time, right? So we pushed lower, then we got the reaction once it hit the D extension. It was a nice reaction too. It's 300 pips. Did anybody make that play? Was anybody still in that, or I don't know?
I got stopped out on it.
Did you get stopped out?
I got stopped out.
Those are the worst. 300 pips after you get stopped out. You have to laugh and stop from crying sometimes.
No, what was worse, when I was trying to adjust my order for Chef JPY, and I blinked and I say, ain't this about something? And that came, I was at the train station and the train just left. That's what it looked like.
I got that one on the list too, to take a look at. But that's the pound. So I just wanted everybody to see that reaction. We may get another drive up. Not sure. It's reacting at that 111 level. But that looks right for a crown. So we'll see how that plays out. Keep that one on your radar. This pound dollar, right? This one is still sitting. Okay, trying to figure out what that catalyst would be, but this one is sitting right at that, right in the zone, right? And it created a 4 hour support in that level there. So this one though, because you got room and it's against the dollar, what I would like to see is, going down to, say, my lower time frame, say my 1. Okay, because it's showing up here too on the 1. But you got room on this. So again, you could play this the same way with any of them, right? Not gonna put a limit in on that, because of how strong the dollar has been. But I will play it off of reaction. Okay. So if I could start to, let me close this out. Light my screen. All right. So if I can, I like that. More so. Okay. So we can start to get a reaction. That was that low, right? COVID low, push right through it. Okay. So in these situations where fundamentally, right, you're sound, you know what's going on with the currencies. And it's like, man, that dollar's strong. It is topping out. And sometimes, you know, even though the dollar's strong, it doesn't mean, right? The market moves in waves, right? You can't necessarily time it, but you know that, hey, corrections do occur, right? Even with the most bullish currencies, the most bearish currencies, you're going to have times where price is correct, you know, profit taking, right? Some relief on the dollar. Plus, hey, the pound did just hike rates, okay? And we haven't really seen, you know, too strong a reaction from that because of everything else fundamentally that's going on. So there's a possibility, right? It's in my 80-20 zone. I thought the pound Swissy, I'm like, I'm never going to see a reaction like that. And even though it didn't happen when I wanted it to, we got the reaction for 300 pips. So this is one here where, hey, if I could just get that gradual movement and get that wave, right? So this is what I want to see. Give me that break, push up, give me a reaction off the level, out of the zone, and then I'll look to get long, right? I'll draw that counter, that fib, put that counter trend line on it, and say, you know what? This is what I want to see happen with this. Okay. Dollar's reaching some pretty high levels. It is still the #1 bull in the game right now. So I've got time on that, right? Because we know on this 4, just to that 382 is a monster. Right? It's a monster, over 500 pips. So we've got time. Okay. Don't have to have a fear of missing out. We got time. Okay. Any questions on that pound dollar?
Hey, Benny, the other thing too on that pound dollar, you got a daily D extension just below
Yes.
swing low there. So
yes. Closing in on it, aren't we?
Yeah. So another push down, just slightly will get us to that D extension. And then we could get another flip to the upside then too.
Get that reaction, right? Nice. Good catch on that. All right. So what is that? That is pull that in. We're almost right there. Ooh. Take that down to the 4. All right. So this might be a reaction level. Great catch, right? All right. So that's the move. Now that's worth waiting. That's worth waiting for. All right. See if we can get that to happen. Okay. Okay. And people say, you know, especially back in the day when we start teaching, people kind of look at you with the side eye, like 500 pips, okay. But I mean, that's 460. June 14th to June 16th. Okay. Think about it, right? There's a reaction here, okay? Sometimes not even getting to the target, but because it's the pound dollar, right? We understand our pairs and the ATRs. Look, that's 456. We only got back to the 236 up against weekly resistance. Large moves. So that is the pound dollar. And I do want to take a look at that, the Swiss yen. Oops. Yeah, Swiss, even though that's been a good one too. There we go. Right. Look at that. Right down the target. Just the bottom fell out. Okay. Japanese government intervention. Swiss yen, yep, they hike rates. Some investors are looking for 100 basis points, not 75. Combination of a little bit of everything. Key zones. Funny how those things happen. The key zones, right? That's why we play them. So at 382, right? It looks enormous and it looks like it'll never get there. But that's 600 pips, over 600 pips out of that zone. Okay. It's a beautiful thing. All right. That's just to the 382. Big moves, right? So I always say patience pays. Patience pays. Okay. Now, you might have different, financial goals in mind to where you don't need to catch all 660 pips or whatever that is. You might be out before that, but the key is being consistent and finding the zones and finding the setups. Any questions on that switch in? No? Okay, so I want to take a look at this Euro GBP because it's been a fun ride, right? Okay. So we're still trying to wait on it. There's that ABCD move, right? Almost there. Almost to that daily 382. Finally. Right? But no matter what the pair, no matter what the asset class, the one thing that is universal is that this market moves in waves. Doesn't matter whether it's the Forex market, doesn't matter whether you trade indices, cryptos, soybeans, wheat, does not matter. Okay? That one guiding fundamental principle is that this market moves in waves. It's undeniable. Okay, it's undeniable. And once I honed in on that, and once I listened to my mentors, right, it really changed the game for me. Okay. All right, because even though in the beginning they were telling me that, I didn't want to believe it. I thought it was all about something else or whatever new shiny indicator, whatever that would catch my eye, right? And I would kind of venture off the path, but I always found my way back to that one guiding principle is that the market moves in waves. Okay. And if there's ever a holy grail, it's proper risk management. Get those two things, you can do a lot in this market. Okay. So that's the Euro GBP, just looking at that continued progression. I want to run through some of these because it's Aussie here, right? So we're getting that correction. Right? We drew those up. So you can see how it's trying to push to that sweet spot. And then we'll see if it wants to continue long. So they take a while, right? So this is that scenario where you may say, I don't want, that B to C move right off the B boundary, but I will wait. And if it's with the trend and it gets into my sweet spot, I'll look to buy. So ideally, I would love to see it come back down and retest this 146.62 level and hold, and then look to get long on it. That would be my number one scenario on that play. And so there's always things developing, right? So if this is not your play, which it's a Euro Aussie play, so it's over 100 pips. But it's like, no, I'll wait because if I can get it to retest the support, I want to take that shot. Okay, for 500 pips to the upside. All right. But if it would have come here, I take it back to the 382 for close to 230 pips. Game becomes very simple when you see that AV boundary. Same thing with the Euro CAD. Right. See? Hey, that's not my play. But if it gives me what I'm looking for in this zone, then I'll look to get long. Okay. Here's that daily 382. Okay. So maybe it comes in my zone and then I get there. Okay. Maybe it pushes and takes me to a 78.6, and then that'll put me right along that 382 right there for 356 pips. So you just be patient and you just watch them, right? You see how this went up around that 118, 127 zone and just pushed, right? Around that 118, hit that resistance level and just came down 200 pips. Then it corrected. Just wait. Just wait. The reason why we say, hey, spend as much time as you can on your charts, even though we know we all live busy lives, is because seeing is believing. Seeing is believing. Okay, so there was this Euro NZD. Okay. On the, was it this one? Hold on. Here on the one. There it is. Right. So that came into my zone. So I'm taking it now. It's dancing around. Right. And it's moving sideways. But look at that, up against the weekly resistance. And its low point, it was down 187 pips. So if that should play, you just wait on it. Okay. Whereas here, it just turned over right away. Not gonna play. Right. There. So we'll see. I want to see if we can get this to come down to this 382, because if I can hold it to target out of the zone. Oh, I did replace that. Find out what that was from the weekly. If I can hold it out of the zone, right, it's 250 pips or so. The downside, and just let the market go to work. Don't over leverage. Be conservative in that regard, and just let the market run, right? Because we don't control any of this. Okay, so that's the Euro NZD. Any questions over any of the pairs that we covered tonight? I wanted to make sure that we reviewed some that we have been waiting on for quite some time. Okay. All right. Continue to be patient. Use your proper risk management. Do not be afraid to lose. Okay. A lot of times when I saw it was use super tight stop losses. We don't want to lose. Not only, I don't know, the mind can play games. It's like, I don't like to lose. I don't want to lose that much if I do lose. But at the end of the day, you're lost, right? So sometimes we have to just sort it all out in our mind, right? Make it make sense. But don't be afraid to trade small, right? And accumulate capital on your account, because these are big moves that we're seeking out. Okay. And they do take time. Ryan, anything to add before we wrap things up tonight?
Great session, bro. No, I don't, man. No, I don't.
Appreciate it. Any other questions before we log off?
Benny, just a quick one.
Sure.
What is the difference between, or the relationship between the support and resistance and pivot points?
Pivot points is like it's a key level, right? Key price level could be like a support level, resistance level, where it's just price has revisited and made a pivot multiple times in the past. So sometimes you can scroll back and you can look at prices, right? Price levels, and you're just like, man, like this thing price tends to hold here multiple times, and it has a history, a long history of doing it. So that's the simple explanation for it. It's just, hey, it's a price point, like a support resistance level that has been visited multiple times in the past. Okay, at least that's how it was taught to me. Simply. So right, as a result, right, it's a pivot. It tends to be a strong level. So they have like pivot point indicators and stuff like that that are out there. So it just falls in line, right, as another confirmation point. There should be one on here. There should be a pivot point indicator on here. I know they have it on Trading View. Let me see something real quick. Do they have yeah. Let's see. Yep. So you see it throughout this chart. There's a 1 hour chart. Okay. Right. So just different areas and price points in the past where prices has been respected. But and there's some that's more that seem to be more dynamic to really really hits key levels, like here, right? So you can see that we got a reaction there, didn't we? Right. Got a nice strong reaction up in that zone. So you may do your research on pivot points and say, I want to see if it gets up in that zone, do I have a pivot point, right? So you kind of just build out a plan based off of, these type of indicators, right? And it's all to make you feel confident, however many boxes you need to check to feel confident to take the trade, then by all means, do it. Do it. It's all about your journey, nobody else's. So I needed to be a pivot point. I need that resistance level. Is it a pivot point? Oh, all right. It's looking good for me then. Okay. That's that. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Question. Oh yeah, no problem. No problem. All right, well, that's it. We're going to close this session out. See everybody Saturday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Forex Weekly Ritual. And you see why that's so important. Sometimes it takes a while for those setups that we find to develop, but eventually they do. All right, they do. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.